represent incarcerated individuals throughout Texas, obtain parole, and fight parole revocations. We protect those who have fallen short of perfection from the wrath of those who believe they have attained it. For more information about Gary Cohen and his associates, Alan Bennett and Gene Anthis, you can find it at the website, parolelaw.com. You may also contact them at 512-476-6201.
Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, to every single nook and cranny where our 100,000 watt transmitter, those signals permeate into every nook and cranny towards that thing called a radio, for those who are still listening to radios over the radio. And again, folks, good morning to the entire world. And yes, we have people from all over the world. Without further ado, let's get busy and bring the two geniuses in the studio, Senor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
And why would we not listen to radio? That's just sinful.
Yes, it is.
And good morning to our friends in Ottawa, Canada. Why the heck not?
Why the heck not?
So nothing for me this morning. It's kind of a weird day.
What's wrong?
Gonna have to have one of my friends put down. My dog is just not doing well.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's a drag.
How old is the dog?
He's 11. No, he's 12, but he's a large breed dog. He's a blackmouth cur. And he's suffering from kidney or renal failure and liver failure and has a heart murmur.
Oh, God.
And he's just not doing well. They gave me some medicine and said, hey, this might help him. But it helped him a little bit, but he's still deteriorating before my very eyes. I mean, this dog was a vital, healthy, good dog. And then it started about 2 weeks ago. He didn't want to eat. He's, very lethargic. So I took him in. They said, well, the news is not good for you. Well, not good for him.
Yeah.
So this was a stray that I took in. He was found asking people for help over on the Beltway and West Road, very busy intersection where he could have gotten himself killed. So they brought him to me, and I said, I'm really a cat person. I don't really want a dog, but this dog was so nice and so sweet. I thought, well, okay, we'll give you a try. And 11 years later, this is what it comes to. So
wow,
it's a rough day for me.
I wonder if he had some mushrooms or something that he ate.
I don't know. He's not he doesn't eat everything. Now, the other dog, who was a stray that I took in, he eats anything and everything. I mean, you just don't know what this dog's gonna eat. So, I mean, sometimes it's inedible objects that he will eat. But the older dog is just, it's a drag. It is a real drag. I mean, I've had to go through this several times with cats that I like so much, and it's just one of those things. It's heart wrenching, but it's best for the animal to do this.
Oh yeah,
not best for me, but best for them.
Well, look, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
That's the kind of day it is, and I just don't want to talk about it too much because it will cause eye sweats. Yeah, and eye sweats cause nose clog-ups. The worst part about eye sweats is your nose clogs up, so that's adding insult onto injury. I mean, it's bad enough that you hurt so much or something hurts you so much that you have to have eye sweats, but then your nose clogs up. It's like, what is this? Anyway, Jack has some wisdom for us here today, and I'd like to get to that so I can just get off mic here.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, Jack. Talk to me, my brother.
Yeah, I love my dogs too, man. They're really the best. Okay, Kamala Harris made a call out to women to get out and vote. I believe women are going to be the deciding factor in the upcoming election, delivering that landslide victory over Trump. Women want their reproductive rights respected. I give all my praise to the ladies that are going to step up and make the difference this fall. Because you know the men aren't going to do it.
Ladies, get out there and vote. Avoid Project 2025, which Arnie has dedicated darn near all of her shows to. She's going through this thing page by page. So you really, 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 really want to vote out any party that's going to support Project 2025. In fact, the Republican candidate is starting to distance himself. Oh, I don't know anything about that. It's your manifesto, bro. That's what you're
It,
running on.
well, all the people that working in this administration, including his cabinet, they are the actual authors of several chapters in Project 2025. Joanne Reed is also doing a piece on Project 2025 often. And I got a couple of clips yesterday. I didn't have the time to get it all ready for our people here, but suffice it to say that that is, I mean, the idea is they're trying to take us back. And, you know, Kamala fell into that moniker. We're not going back. We're not going back, kind of a moniker. But when you take a look at it, the damn thing is scary. And you really wonder, who are these guys that write this stuff? And the problem is that most people don't read. And, you know, I haven't read the 900 pages, but I've read enough of the synopsis here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Ali Velshi, I spoke to Ali Velshi a few weeks ago, and he says, you know, he's carrying around the two manuscripts of this thing, and he's slowly going through it himself. It is just amazing that people wrote this thing down. I guess it's so archaic that they want to make sure to say, well, look, we had it written down. This is nothing new that we're doing here. We're just doing what we wrote down and what you voted for, assuming people got conned and vote for it. And that is the reason why even here, Howard and Jack, we're sticking to the subject as far as, hey, all of us have to be on board together. And I mean all of us. Even those of you that think you're not on board with progressives or whatever, this is one time that all of you, whether you're progressive, conservative, or otherwise, this stuff affects you. Women specifically, progressive or conservative, don't rule your body. You know, you rule your body. I tell you something. Just before I came on, I was listening to Morning Joe. And on Morning Joe, they played a clip from Fox News where Senator Kennedy, as in Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, went on to Neil Cavuto and started to name call Kamala Harris ding dong and all these other kinds of names. As senator, using this phraseology on Fox News. Well, Cavuto, I was so amazed. He called out the senator and then threw him off the air. Cavuto threw the senator off air when the senator was attempting to continue with the name calling. The interesting thing about it, the senator proved to be not only sexist, but misogynist. The fact that you would never hear these senators say anything about the ineptitude, the lack of knowledge, the silly stuff that Donald Trump says. If somebody wanted to say, isn't that kind of ding dongish? Isn't that kind of silly what that person just said? You would never hear Senator Kennedy saying that about Donald Trump, who says some crazy things about what you can do with bleach and lasers. And I mean, a completely uninformed, unintellectual dude. And here we have Miss Harris, Kamala Harris, one who recovered over $20 billion with her legal prowess. Over $20 billion from the finance sector. And think about that. Who beats the finance sector? A ding dong? I don't think so. You can disagree with her policy, etc., but smart is what she's got. You know, her father also, let's remember, was a star economist at Stanford, I think it was. Her mother is a cancer researcher. And in this case, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. The thing that when women succeed, when women excel, it puts so much fear so often in men. Speak poorly about how men are reared. And that isn't something that's relegated solely to the United States. It's all over the darn world. The fragility of the man's ego. That you think when you, I mean, look, my sister is a doctor. The other sister is a financial, whatever it is you call them. I couldn't be more proud to look at these females and live vicariously through them. But the fact that women still have to go through this, the fact that Hillary Clinton was the most qualified person, and I'm not a Hillary Clinton fan, but damn it, I know when somebody's qualified. The most qualified person and had to take the things that she took because once again, the fragility of male, not the prowess or strength, but the fragility, the fact that you have to fool yourself or try to demean excellence to feel better about yourself. There's something wrong there. There's something wrong there. This election shouldn't even be it shouldn't even be a toss-up. And it won't be, by the way, because I think a lot of men going to wake up, and a lot of women who suffer from self-hate that's been instilled on them from a patriarchy. I think we're all going to wake up. The fragility of men for many will dissipate, and the self-hate of women attacking women will dissipate enough that we'll have a landslide for the preferable person, the most qualified person, the person who won't let the country go backwards to occur. Johnny, come on in, my brother.
First of all, I want to extend my deepest, heartfelt wishes to Captain Reynolds' rap. I can relate to what he's going through right now with his dog, because I've had 2 other dogs recently where I've had to see them out of this world. And I've got a 5-year-old boxer, female boxer, and I'm thinking about the not-too-distant future when she will be needing the same kind of care. It's heartrending because we see them as our family. They're part of the family. They're family. So I feel real bad for them right now.
Thank you, Johnny.
Let me just say this before you speak again to Johnny. I had a dog named Blackie, and we had to do the same to the dog. And this is when I was very, very young. And that, the hurt was so bad. And it's bad. It's bad on my part, but I'd never got another pet. I couldn't, that's how bad that hurt was. I never forgot that. But anyway, sorry, I just had to say that. Come on in, Johnny.
How old were you when you lost your pet?
I think I was about 12 years old or so. And I never wanted and it's a bad thing. I finally allowed my daughter to get a parakeet, but she wanted a dog, cat, or whatever. And that was for her. Selfish me was just scared of the pain to lose the pet. But anyway, go ahead, Johnny.
All right. So on to other traumatic news. The centrist Democratic Party, you and I and a whole bunch of other people in the audience know, fellow time travelers know, that the Democrats have a long history of snatching a defeat from the jaws of victory. Meanwhile, the Republicans have a long history, and the Republicans have a long history of running circles around Democrats because they have no problems bending or breaking rules or making up rules on the fly. And when you combine that with the current situation where I see the same pattern again, with the legacy media, the allies that the centrist Dems have right now, and are examining and poking fun of Donald Trump's choice of running mate, what they're doing is they're saying, oh, now you have to live with it. And they say, oh, like hell we do. They're not constrained. The Republicans are not constrained by convention and rules and regulations and laws like on our side. You could see J.D. Vance disappear in a moment's notice, or possibly even Donald Trump, because if the Republican leadership wants it bad enough, they will do what they want. Look at what they did to the Supreme Court. Marble Mouth Mitch McConnell, I heard a soundbite on NPR this morning where he was doing another mind game, rewriting history. That's how they do. So here's how it interfaces with people like me. I told the Democrats recently, I said, if you guys, and you do guys, you will insist on putting centrist Democrats, whether it's Kamala Harris or whoever you ultimately wind up with, the only way you're going to get people, progressives like me, and you need our vote, don't be so complacent, you need our vote, is to make sure that Kamala, or whoever they put forth as the final candidate on the Democratic side, is that individual, when they go up on national TV in a few weeks, in that Democratic convention of theirs, that they state openly, and they put in writing at the same time, that they will aggressively pursue, not one, not two, but three, at least three, unapologetic progressives on the cabinet. And the suggestion for them would be someone like Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar as Secretary of State, a Bernie-like person to head up health, education, and welfare, someone like Ralph Nader to head up labor or commerce. That's what they need to do. And I seriously doubt, though, that they're going to do it because they have ignored me so far. But if by some miracle they wake up and realize they've been too complacent all the time and they've suffered and we have suffered as a result, maybe they will do that. And if they do, at that point, I will show up and vote for Kamala Harris or whoever they put in her place or whoever she picks, because I'm pragmatic, Alberto. You know that. I'm pragmatic. I understand how the world really works, and so I take the good with the bad. But if they don't do that, if I don't know that they're going to have those three progressives on the cabinet, guess what? I will write in Cenk Uygur or I'll vote for Cornel West. That's the reality they have to deal with. And right now, they feel they don't need me. Just listen to the rhetoric. Listen to their rhetoric, Alberto. This is scary to me. This is scary.
Actually, they do need you, and not only do they need you, they know that they need you. If you take a look at the undercurrents, I think Kamala is playing the card so perfectly. I always say, look at who reared you, okay? And Kamala was reared by, again, I mentioned earlier the economist and the cancer researcher who was very, very active as, I don't want to use the particular term because, again, I am also pragmatic, but suffice it to say that deep in that heart lays an intellect that knows how to skin a cat in more forms than one. So that's as far as I want to say in that regards. But let me just tell you, progressives, you have to be in the fight first, and then you have to win the fight, and then you have to demand. And one of the things that happened with Obama is Obama was a real progressive. I've explained to many that the presidency has its own gravity, but you have to bend the presidency the way Johnson bent the presidency, the way Roosevelt bent the presidency, the way to some extent Eisenhower bent the presidency. And while Obama, except for a few, well, I shouldn't call Obamacare a few things, but he, and I gave him a pass for certain reason. We went home to sleep. We got this guy elected. Everybody was ecstatic, euphoric, and then went to sleep. I don't think the same mistake will be made with Kamala. Go ahead, Kamala. Go ahead.
That's exactly right. And then we let our guard down collectively, I'm saying. Not individually
Yes,
necessarily, but collectively we did.
exactly.
So my issues with Kamala Harris is that she has a mixed bag history of when she was a prosecutor. As we all know, she did some what I would call right-wing friendly things that I did not like at all. But again, I'm pragmatic. And
Yeah.
I take the good with the bad, and I recognize that she has some progressive stuff within her. But that's not enough for me to vote for her. I want her to make a public declaration and put it in writing on her website that she will pursue 3 unapologetic progressives to the cabinet in order to
Okay,
get my vote.
brother, let me
And
push back on you. Let me push back on you there. Let me push back on you there. I don't want her to do that. I don't want to create a false discussion. All right. In other words, um, I think the biggest mistake Republicans made right now was to put out Project 2025. That's their biggest mistake because I think they're going to get killed by Project 2025, not only at the presidential level, but at every single level. I think Project 2025 gives the pathway. Remember, for months I've been talking about the pathway has been laid for us to have a landslide. Only we could screw up not having a landslide. Only we, and the way we screw up not having a landslide, in my humble opinion, and this is where I'm going to push back on you, I don't want them to have any documentation to go ahead and get the marginal folks that. Well, look, first of all, you and I know, Johnny, that most people are progressives. They will not say that, but you ask them all the items that they want out of government, all the items they want out of society, it doesn't poll below 65%, the progressive
That's right.
agenda. And again,
That's right. That's why
65%
when
is a low point. It doesn't poll beyond that, below that. But what
That's
is
why when
very,
I speak, that's when I leave voicemail messages and I speak to these congressional aides. I remind them of where I come from. I tell them the vast majority of American people agree with me on a variety of economic and social issues, depending on what issue we're discussing. It could be anywhere from 60% to 75%. And so
yeah,
you're right. When you drill down deep enough, you hit water. You get
exactly.
beyond-
So
And now
therefore,
I'm
therefore,
saying, go
therefore, Johnny, therefore, what that means is we don't have to have Kamala write down all the things on these issues so that the mainstream media, they like to call it the progressive media. It's not, the media is not progressive. The media is corporate. Mainstream
Right.
media is a corporate entity. We don't need them to interpret that she would put XYZ on the thing because the people are already where we are. But the interpretation given by the media that then directs people on how to vote does not. So, in my humble opinion, the pragmatic thing to do is to first know your candidate, and we know our candidate. And after you know your candidate, you get that person elected, and you don't let, like right now, the billionaires are trying to force her to get rid of the FTC, the chair of the FTC, and I think it's the Federal Trade Commission, Kim, the young woman that's really putting corporations in their
Uh-huh.
places right now. Okay, let's just be quiet about that because you know what?
Allow me to report real
She
quick.
has already done it. $20 billion capture recapture from the financial sector. So it's not like we think she's not going to do it because she has already dinged the corporate sector for $20 billion. No
Allow me
Republican can claim that.
Allow me to retort real quick because I think I didn't explain myself clearly to you. When I say I want her to make a public declaration and put it in writing, I don't want a whole laundry list of things that she plans to do or her policies. No, I'm being specific about those 3 people on the cabinet. I want her to transmit clear message to progressives across the country like me that she intends to put in her cabinet those 3 people I was referring to you about. That specific thing. And real quickly, let me compare Hillary to Kamala. Hillary was a hedge fund bunny. She was dynastic. Dynasties and democracies don't mix. And what clinched it for me not to vote for Hillary was the fact that I saw the way she interacted with people. She's not totally present with people when they're talking to her. Specifically, a group of women at a delicatessen or a restaurant somewhere, retail establishment, they were all seated at a small table, and the women were speaking to her. And what did you see Hillary Clinton do? She was looking at them, but she was vacant. She wasn't there completely with them. She was nodding her head over and over again. And you could have told her, "Oh, I think the moon is made of green cheese," and she would continue nodding her head for a little bit. I don't want to vote for someone like that who's not present. I'm not saying
I got you, Johnny. Johnny, I got you. Let me just say, in the states that mattered, not here in Texas, but in the states that mattered, it was a mistake not to, because while we dinged her for that which what you say is true, we by not voting for her, we gave somebody that was worse, that cares nothing about humanity. Hillary at one time, and I got to go to the other callers, but Hillary at one time was that woman who went to South Texas and was very influential in working with immigrants, etc. I don't forget the good people have done. Yes, some people have turned bad, but when I still look at the good that they've done. Hey, but Johnny, brother, I got to go now because the calls are starting to chime in. So look, we keep talking and we'll talk tomorrow, brother. All right?
Real quickly, I have 1 second request for the centrist
Real quick.
Democrats in the media. I want them to quit resting their laurels on the fact that Kamala Harris has raised a whole bunch of money. They keep doing the same thing over again.
Yeah,
Quit
money
focusing
means
on how much money
right.
they're raising.
I'm with.
That's not the
Okay,
issue.
Johnny, I'm with you. You're right, Johnny. First of all, you're right. We'll bring that up during the show. Thank you, my brother. Got to go to Donald. Come on in, brother Donald. Come on in, sir.
Hey, good morning, Gilberto. We got a lot in common. We were taught by a bunch of weirdos, and the reason I say that is there is more than one way to skin a cat. But I've always said you just better make sure it's dead. Who are these people skinning these cats, and why are they skinning them? Because I've always questioned everything. But yeah, as in pets are concerned, that is your longest ride. I've rode everything, and when you take a pet, that's the longest ride you'll ever have.
Oh yeah.
And Johnny, okay, 4 wheels move you, but 2 wheels move your soul. I want to know what he rides. Other than that, no, Kennedy is good. And, the only reason that he come out and said that is because they're sitting there calling Trump a weirdo for the way he loves the flag or whatever else. And it's all just propaganda, and we know it.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing, I mean, there's a certain connotation with a woman, a ding dong, and some other issues, Donald. And there is just something that I have been sensitized with. Remember when I kind of I beat up on myself for how I was reared in many ways, and I have a distinct sensitivity when there are certain things that are sexist and misogynist, and it really hits that nerve because I understand what, not just the feelings, but how wrong that is. But anyhow, anything else, Donald, before I jump to Brother Joe?
Well, as long as when Trump goes out to debate her, he don't have a glass of water and go and throw it on her and go, damn it, she didn't melt. That's all I gotta say.
Donald, stop it. All right, have a great day, brother.
All right, you have a good day. Yes, sir.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Let's go to Brother Joe. Come on in, Joe. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm trying to make it, man. I'm trying to make it. Talk to me.
Oh, good. So Project 2025, man, I ignored it because it didn't come from Trump. I didn't know what it was about. It kind of came out of left field. So I got interested in it last night and spent about a half hour, an hour or so looking at it, and it doesn't appear, it's not a MAGA thing at all, man. It looks like they're trying to lay it at Trump's feet, but from what I can tell, MAGA has nothing to do with it, and it's in direct conflict with a lot of MAGA principles. They spend a lot of time, it's written, number one, by the Heritage Foundation, which is it's a conservative, or I should say an establishment Washington think tank full of Republicans of the stripe that hate Donald Trump, right? And it's pro-war. It advocates for America being the arms dealer to the world. They say that we've slowed down selling guns to the world, which is ridiculous, and it directly contradicts MAGA principles. And also, they wanted to extend the FISA surveillance
FISA
of
courts,
America,
yeah.
which is something that MAGA is totally against, because look, they used that against Trump in 2016. They've used the intelligence community every step of the way against Donald Trump, and this document wants to strengthen. They want to reorganize and strengthen the intelligence apparatus. And the intelligence community is no friend to Donald Trump. They have been behind a lot of dirty tricks against Donald Trump. So I don't think that you can lay this at MAGA's feet, man. The 2025 does not appear related to MAGA at all.
All right. Now, let me answer you this way, first of all. First of all, let me give you some commendation. The fact that you come out against MAGA justifies why I sit down and I listen to you. And I've always said, hey, guys, Joe is not a bad guy, because the things that Joe stands for is probably, I'm going to call Joe a progressive, even though he won't take it. He won't accept it. But the things that if I went item for item with what I believe, I'm pretty damn sure Joe is going to agree. But that said, let's put that aside. The nature of the Heritage Foundation and the relationship between the Heritage Foundation and Donald Trump is clear. And Donald Trump is not going to tell you this right explicitly. And Donald Trump is going to expect you not to go ahead and do any kind of deep dive. But you don't even have to do too much of a deep dive. The Heritage Foundation is the group that handed Donald Trump the list of judges that they wanted him to put on the Supreme Court, and he obliged. The people that he has on the Supreme Court is from that list that came from the Heritage Foundation. That's number one. Number two, yesterday I had, and I needed to, I don't know if I think I clipped it, the video of Donald Trump giving a speech to the Heritage Foundation talking about Project 2025, of them putting the pathway together, which is a Project 2025 document that he was speaking about, with Trump actually saying these are the smart guys that are putting the agenda together. I pulled it down yesterday. I have a whole lot of clips that I have to put together. So while Donald Trump now says, that stuff has some weird stuff in it, he was actually a supporter of while that stuff was being written. Moreover, many of the people in his cabinet are actually the authors of many of the chapters within Project 2025. So while I am ecstatic that you find Project 25 reprehensible, your guy, and I am calling him your guy, you know what I mean. He was
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump was a part of that entire project. And now that he sees how toxic it is, he's trying to give the impression that he knew nothing about it. We have him on video showing that he does know about it, and his past, what he has done in the past with accepting all the rules that they gave, the list of judges that he has appointed came directly from the Heritage Foundation. But don't worry, Obama used the Heritage Foundation for Obamacare, which is why we kind of don't like a lot of parts of the Obamacare as well, because it kept the private sector involved. But hey, that's part of it. Anything else, Joe, that you want to say?
Yeah, I'm so in support of MAGA. I didn't come out against them, and I recognize there's a difference between the Republican Party and MAGA people. They are
okay. Well,
the struggle between those two groups continue, right?
Okay.
Well, and if people, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I was just going to give you some kudos until I need to move on to Patrick. But I just wanted to say the
Yeah, well,
last conversation we had, you ended with an interesting statement. You said, "Why can't we work on the things we agree on?" You remember you said that about 2 times ago that you
I
passed.
say that all the time. And if we pulled like a lot of the social issues out of the policies and then that kind of we can agree on some common sense
And
legislation that we
and I
need.
say
You
to that
know,
I say to that I say the problem is the people that are pulling the strings are trying like hell to make sure that doesn't happen. Because like I said, and I mean this, and I would prove this to you over a cup of coffee. Most of what I believe in from an economic standpoint, when we sit down and talk about it, item for item, fact for fact, you're going to say, damn it, I quite didn't see it that way because it happened to me when I sat down and spoke to Dr. Richard Wolff. Okay? Remember, I at one point I thought I was a capitalist as well now. So anyway, I got to go to Patrick Joe. I appreciate your call. All right.
one last thing. Don't try to lay this at Trump's feet because as far as I can tell, this is not a MAGA document. It goes against MAGA principles.
Okay,
and it lists
Johnny.
several sections that
I'm not
I'm
Johnny.
familiar with.
Joe, I ask you to do this. All right. I need you to do this.
Yeah.
It's not about it being a MAGA principle. I know what you think a MAGA principle is. It's about what President Trump at the time he was president did, what he followed, and what he said about this document in the past. That's what we need to talk about later. But I got to go to Patrick. I
What
appreciate
this
your call, bro.
document. Okay.
Joe, I got to go. Thank you. Let's go to brother Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Good morning. To address the mayor politics done right, I think I agree with you. I think that if we get really specific and we start pushing quote unquote progressive issues instead of just showing that she's got a head on her shoulders and that she's going to be more logical, I think would probably drive away a lot of the moderates. We live in a country that can't define socialism, can't define capitalism, can't define a lot of things, but they'll vote for it or against it without even knowing what it is. My second point, what Joel's mistake is he is thinking that what MAGA and Trump have in common are that Trump's actually going to do something for them. Trump's only using them. Trump uses everybody around him. So it doesn't matter if it's MAGA or not. It's what Trump is going to be told what to do. And when Trump was appointed, he said he was going to drain the swamp, but every single one of his appointments, not just judiciary, but all of them, were what the Heritage Foundation handed him. He doesn't know anybody, and he doesn't know politics. That's one of the reasons why people didn't want him. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah, well, Patrick, before you go, and I think what's important here is, like I said, a lot of people get on my case because I am very, I want to approach my MAGA brothers. I want to approach my right wing brothers because I get it. The polls tell me, right, that most Americans are where you and I are. The polls tell me that. And when I speak to people on an individual basis, and I speak to mothers and fathers of kids who want, these X, Y, and Z, that's where they are. So that means it's the politics that's really breaking us apart, right? One of my job is to continue to work with guys like Brother Joe there and say, hey, man, these are the things you want, right? This is not the guy that's giving you that. This is not the guy that giving that pathway for that. But there's such an industry out there that is doing otherwise, right? That you have to find a pathway before it's broken away to get to different people of all stripes. Even on the left, you have to find that pathway to get to folks who says, I am not going to vote for Kamala because she's not progressive enough. So yeah, I think we're in the same stride, Patrick. Thank you very much for your call.
You have a great day.
All right, let's go to Brother Harry. Come on, Harry.
Hello?
Yes,
Oh,
you're here,
good morning,
Harry.
Roberto. Good morning.
Good.
Yeah, good morning, Roberto. Good morning, Howard. Good morning, Jack. Howard, I'm very sorry for your that you have to put this dog down. Pets are very, they're a part of us, and I'm sorry that happened with you, Roberto. They're a part of us. We never forget them. They bring a lot of joy in our lives. I never had to do that. I had a dog that I lost, that I loved very dearly, and I was raising, but unfortunately it ran away, and those kinds of things happen. But you never forget the joy pets bring in your life when they're there. And thanks for playing XL's Take 5 to open this show version of Take 5. But anyway, I'll get on to Kamala Harris and the Project 2025. Maybe one of the reasons, I hate to keep revisiting this, with Project 2025, one of the things that it does talk about in there is dumbing down the educational system. You hear Arnie Arneson talk about that, war on public education and higher education. And the man that attempted to take Donald Trump's life, Thomas Matthew Crooks, the man understood how to make bombs and stuff, and that may have made him angry if he read anything of Project 2025, that they want to dumb down public education and they want to dumb down higher education. I went to a concert last night at my church, and when I was coming back, I was talking to one of the elders about Kamala Harris, and the Elder Van Reynolds just told me, Harry, I think Donald Trump is afraid to debate Kamala Harris because she is well educated, well spoken, has a lot of credentials, and she could make Donald Trump look like a buffoon when she debated Michael Pence in the vice presidential debate 4 years ago. So I think Elder Reynolds, my friend, is correct about that. And I'm glad you played that piece yesterday, Roberto, at the end of your show, and Amy Goodman on Democracy Now! Played it about the Christian right, that we don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about voting 4 years from now. It'll be fine. It'll be fixed. And when I was on Hugh Talk yesterday, and Dr. John and Mike were talking about that, they were looking at it, well, we can't say that you can't look at it basically that, well, there's not going to be any more elections. It may just be that 4 years from now, there'll still be a vote, but you can vote if you can either vote if you want to, or maybe you don't vote if you want to. But I think it literally means that Donald Trump wants to be president for life. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of dangerous talk. And
Well,
that's what he wants to be.
the Supreme Court has. Sorry to interrupt you, but you've been going for a while, brother Harry. The Supreme Court has laid the foundation by making treason not for all practical purposes, no longer a crime for only the president. That is interesting enough. So I don't know what hanky panky is going on between the Supreme Court, Heritage Foundation, Trump, etc. But all I know, it ain't good. But Harry, I need to jump to Betty. So let's go real quick.
One more thing, and then I'll go. Yeah, the this is to Joe's point and MAGA and all that. But 100 people, as you stated there, Roberto, you didn't mention that part of it, but I think you've mentioned it on other occasions. But 100 people wrote that Project 2025 that were in Trump's administration the first time, and so that's. So he knows a lot about it. And for the mayor of politics done right, if they do what you're suggesting, Mayor, at the Democratic Convention, they put 3 of those progressives in there, that'll only strengthen and help the Democratic Party. Okay, you guys have a great day.
Thank you so kindly for your call, my friend. Let's go to Sister Betty. But before Betty, come on in. I just want to call out Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. I want to call out Eric Hayes from Kingwood at Tascasita, and I want to call out Mamat NR0. All of these are folks in the chat. And Eric, just to mention, I'm not suggesting that we lie about anything. I'm suggesting that we don't put info in there that allows folks that normally distort information to distort it without being able to have an answer. Betty, Sister Betty, how are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm just fine, I guess. Just fine.
Talk to me.
Yes, I want to say something to Johnny. Johnny has gone into a vertical collapse, and he needs to get out of that fine, thin line with his voting and vote for he knows, he knows. And on Howard, if your dog has a heart murmur, the best thing to do is, do the merciful thing because it's hurting there. And when you have animals, always you need to put up a brick wall of the deep, deep hurt because they need it. They need us, and the dog is, you have to keep on trucking, Howard. Okay, and the dog loves you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, Betty. You have a wonderful day. Yeah, Howard, as you can see, we are all feeling your pain, or we are empathetic with your pain because, man, like I said, in my case, it was so bad. I never ever again had an animal, which, as Betty says, is absolutely wrong on my part. But madre mia, I I never forgot that. I never forgot that. Anyway, let's bring in Brother Brian. Brother Brian is here. Good morning, Brian. How are you doing this morning?
Good, good. Thanks for the volunteers. Uh, got any donations yet?
No, actually, we're not in fund drive, but we do get donations sporadically while we're not in fund drive. And I haven't looked at my record recently, or well, they haven't sent me my record recently, but I'm hoping that with the words that you always give, Brian, you always encourage people to support us, which I know that you do. Anyway, talk to me, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, well, without opposition, like I said, everybody's a North Korean robot.
I love that one. I love that one. Talk to me.
Yeah. Uh, Everybody's talking about this Project 2025,
Hmm.
and I don't understand it. It has no merit. It's written by a group of people that's nowhere near connected to an actual political party. Well, I don't understand why the left wing has actually lost its mind over this.
Yeah, I've
Is
lost
that
my mind over it too. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
uh, it's 960 pages. Well, exactly what is in it that makes so upsetting to the left wing?
Oh, there's a lot, man. There's a lot. There are the things about controlling women's body, how to change policies to get rid of the Department of Education for reasons that is simply having to do with an ideology. There's also in there about getting controlling of the Justice Department, making sure that the Justice Department becomes more political under the direction of the president. There's also the thing about going to civil servants, and instead of them being civil servants, making them political agents. In other words, we're civil. The reason we have civil servants, right? That we try to make our civil servants non-political, so that irrespective of what administration comes in, the basic services that are afforded to the American people are not politically based. This document is saying nope, that should be politically based. We shouldn't have those several 100,000 civil servants that we have in our government. I mean, there for those who are willing to read it. Like I said, I've only done excerpts, but over and over again, what we're looking at is, and again, you should, before you say what you just said, Brother Brian, you should go ahead and read the excerpts, etc., from the project, because again, you would find that it's not a friend of yours either, because when it comes to the types of cuts that it's going to make in taxes for the wealthy, it means that if you make under $160,000, your tax rate is going up. The person who makes a couple $1 million, they're getting something like $365,000 back. I mean, look, the document is what I call is the pathway to indentured servitude and women losing all their rights. And again, read the document. I've read the excerpts, but I have downloaded the entire 900 pages to read. Don't know how soon I'm gonna get to it, but I'm gonna try like hell to get to it, because we must read it. Now, when people say that it's far away from Donald Trump, that's not true. The members of his cabinets are authors. We also know from what he has actually done that the list of judges he appointed came from that same Heritage Foundation. We also have video of him giving a speech at the Heritage Foundation acknowledging that the document, he says these are very intelligent people, acknowledging the document is the pathway that they would take running for the first 180 days of his presidency if he were to get elected. Continue, David. I mean, Brian, before I get to David.
Okay, so the Supreme Court ruled that there's no constitutionality on abortion rights. It's an individual right. It's a state's right. And what did Biden try to do just yesterday? Is change the rules to the Supreme Court. So what you actually said was the Heritage Foundation is part of this, but yet Biden has already tried to change the rules of the Supreme Court. That's what he wants to do now.
No. Let's understand how. I'm going to say this real quickly, but I need to get to David for at least the last minute. Remember what our separation of powers says, okay? Our separation of powers says the legislative. Let me explain, please, at least for the audience. The separation of powers points out that the legislature makes laws. The president execute the laws. The Supreme Court is supposed to say whether a law violates the Constitution. What the president is specifically saying is, since the Supreme Court says there is no law, there is no amendment that guarantees a woman the right to her own body, what Mr. President Biden is saying is, okay, then we will generate the law, being the law, the body that writes the law. We will generate the law to protect women, and the president will execute that law. At that point, it takes it out of the realm of the Constitution, unless the Supreme Court, unless the Supreme Court says writing that law violates some particular part of the Constitution. And since that's not going to be found, it will be law. Again, he's not trying to circumvent the law. He's doing his job, asking Congress to write the law for him to execute. That is how our government or any government of laws work. Now, what they're trying to do, what the Supreme Court did, not in the case of that they claim privacy is the concept that was used to protect a woman's right. That the Supreme Court says you can't use privacy. Okay, the courts will use a direct message, a direct law that says women have control of their own bodies. Punto y final. Now, what the Supreme Court did with immunity for Donald Trump was to make law, because the Constitution said nothing about the president has immunity from the law. The Constitution never said that. They created that. The Constitution never said a woman couldn't have an abortion. So we used her privacy to generate that. They said it's unconstitutional. Then what they did with immunity should also be unconstitutional. The Supreme Court is currently a fraud. I gotta go, Brian, because I got 2 calls and 2 minutes to handle them. But call me back tomorrow. Let's talk tomorrow. Let's go to David. Come on, David. Thank you, Brian. David, come on in real quick.
Yeah, thanks, Egberto. I could answer that guy regarding Project 2025. Imagine the criminals of the world have put together a private club, and that's the Heritage Foundation. If you start looking at the list of the people that wrote Project 2025, they are some of the biggest polluters. They're some of the biggest corporate, like the junk food industry, that don't want any regulations. They're biggest, some of the biggest bank fraud people, some of the biggest power companies have put together this private club, and then they send cases to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court then gives them get-out-of-jail-free cards. to keep polluting, to keep
David,
cheating the saving.
you're
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, David, and you made that point. I have to go to Ted because I kind of messed up on time a little bit. So thank you very much, David. But you're right. Let's go to Ted. Come on in, Ted. You got about 30 seconds,
Yeah.
Ted.
Well, I'm just really shocked at what the Supreme Court has done. I mean, I realize it's been about 2 weeks now, or a month maybe.
Yes.
But didn't Anglo-American law begin in 1215 with the Magna Carta?
With the
And
Magna Carta. Yes.
the whole foundation of English and American law was that everyone had to obey the law. That
Yes.
was what the Magna Carta said. King John had to obey the law like everyone else. And that's 800 years of precedent that they're willing to overturn for this guy, Trump.
Thank you very much, Ted. You're absolutely right. I'm out of time. I gotta go, but thank you so kindly. You're absolutely right. Listen to what Ted have to say. Let's jump to the studio.
And a very interesting show today. Thank you so much for the condolences for my good friend Hank. Okay, Jack, what you got, man?
All right, ladies, get out there, get registered, get ready to defend yourselves against what's going on out there.
Vote those bums out.
All right. Love all you guys. Thank you very much. And love all you guys. Love all the callers, all the listeners. Jack, Howard. My name is Egberto. Don't forget, the entire show that we did cover is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, it's at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?